So this interview was basically a tell-all interview. Like, nothing was off limits in terms of the questions that Oprah was asking Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The best news. Grace F. Victory has woken up. She tweeted herself that she's awake and that her baby boy is doing fine. So Zikoko magazine basically put out a video. They have this series on their platform called Nigerians Talk. And basically a lot of Nigerians on the show, they might ask them a question and they share their opinions. Emphasis on their opinions. The column that he does, it's obviously supported by people that have similar views to him, which is why he continues to thrive, him carrying his family away. But actually Meghan says, I think, that's lovely, but I think you saved us. You saved our family, because he could have bird boxed it. He could have pretended not to see what was happening and just carried on enjoying the life he's always known and loved. But he said, you know what, no, this is my family now. And I have to choose them. I remember just like watching the interview, like, wow, this is what sacrificial love looks like. Hi guys, welcome to the Mochunkstv. Welcome to another installment of What's Trending and Chit Chat with Mo. Today I'm actually going to upload the full 1 hour episode, or however long it's going to be. I'm sure you guys are like, Mo, your face, it's looking a bit different today. Well, that's because your girl decided it was time to invest in just my brand image overall. Yes, I come on here and I do my makeup myself and it looks quite nice and stuff, but I decided, okay, why don't I invest in a makeup artist? Especially because if you've been a fan of the show for a long time, you know that I'm always complaining about doing my makeup because I just don't enjoy it. So I'm one of those girls, because of how growing up it was more about my books. I'm not really the girliest girl in terms of enjoying the process of putting makeup on. I don't mind a makeup artist doing it for me, but me myself, it's just strenuous thinking about it even. So I decided it's time to invest in a makeup artist for the show. I hope you guys like it, because I do. Initially I was like, she could take you, but Sophie was like, it's nice, do it. And my partner was like, it's really nice, he really loves it. So I'm really happy. You guys know I love to tell my stories, and I'm sure my sister over there is giving me the look right now because I love to tell a story. But yeah, I'm giving you guys the full upload today as well, because I was really just evaluating Mo, you really you're working yourself a bit too hard in terms of always trying to be time sensitive in terms of when you drop your videos and stuff. It does make me really, really anxious sometimes, and it's the channel is still growing. Just accept that it's still growing. It's not at that place where things will just pop anyhow. Of course, we've had moments where things have gone viral, but it's not worth the headache that you're giving yourself right now. So I thought, you know what, let me just be uploading the full episodes, either on the Wednesday or the Thursday, depending on how my day goes. Because how it usually works is I would film What's Trending and Chit Chat with Mo on content day. I'd edit What's Trending on the same day. So that usually gives me a lot of stress, because I'm trying to do everything in one go. So I'm trying to give myself ease. I'm choosing ease in terms of when I upload my content. And I know you guys that are already subscribed value my voice on these opinions as well. So it's just, without talking too much, I just want to give myself a day to do content, no editing, and then maybe the next day do editing, up until the point where we do have an editor and they can be fast with, I'm trying to do 10 people's jobs in one and doing it quickly as well. So I just want to give myself ease in that department. So I'm still consistent. I'm not running away. But I'm still looking after myself as well. Also, guys, we now have a Patreon. A lot of you from the last live stream said, Mo, set up a Patreon, and I've done just that. So you guys definitely check it out, link in my bio. You can support me from as little as £1 a month. You can just pledge an amount that you want, and I'm basically going to put exclusive content on there, maybe early access to some content as well. So depending on how these full episodes go, if there's some of you that really do want it early, go to my Patreon, and then it will make sense for me, because I'm putting a price on my content. It costs money to make which is really, really dope. There's something else that I wanted to tell you guys as well. I've got it in my notes. Oh, new merchandise as well. Hopefully, by the time this video goes up, the merchandise will be showing up on the bottom. But basically, I've got some merchandise for the Mochunk Show. And I actually prefer the Mochunk Show logo to the Mochunkstv logo. I feel like the Mochunkstv logo can look a bit too bulky sometimes. So the Mochunk Show, I've got some merch. Some merch down below. The mug especially, I've ordered one for myself. So you guys should definitely check it out. Another way that you can support the channel. Without further ado, guys, let's get straight into what's trending. You know what? Let's start with Yelebrity and then I'll do celebrity last so that it kind of goes well into Chit Chat with Mo because I want to expand on it. It's the whole Harry and Meg situation. But guys, in terms of Yelebrity news, the best news, the best news. Grace F. Victory has woken up. She tweeted herself that she's awake and that her baby boy is doing fine. And she's definitely someone that's been on my heart for the last month or so. That's been announced that she went into a coma after giving birth to her baby prematurely and also suffering from COVID complications. So she was pregnant, carrying the child. Everything was good until she got COVID. So COVID now added some complications in terms of her body became very stressed. So the doctors decided that they would deliver the baby prematurely and put her in an induced coma. So the coma was induced by the doctors. I was like, oh my gosh, 3 weeks had passed, 4 weeks had passed, 6 weeks had passed, and we hadn't heard. I just kept in random moments praying for, and I'm sure a lot of people did as well, because I did see so many tweets, just people saying guys, keep praying. And the news that we'd literally all been waiting for finally came, and she told us that she is awake. So I'm really, really grateful to God on her behalf for that, that she gets to nurse and mother her child. So I'm really, really happy for you, Grace, and congratulations on your new bundle of joy. In terms of social trend, guys, this one is kind of linked with celebrity news, but Piers Morgan has basically been the topic of discussion on social media as a result of some of his commentary surrounding Meghan Markle and Harry, them leaving the royal family, not the family, but royal duties, them moving over to Canada and then subsequently LA, them basically moving away from all the tabloids. It's had a lot to say that in regards to they want a private life, yet they are doing exclusives such as taking pictures when she's with child and doing press such as the most recent Oprah interview that's kind of been trending everywhere. So he's had a lot to say, and a lot of people have had a lot to say to him as well, and rightly so. Piers Morgan is what a lot of people will consider a bully on social media, especially with regards to Meghan Markle. No one exactly knows what their relationship was or is. It appears they were friends before, as one of his colleagues actually pointed out. One of his colleagues pointed out, I think she cut you off and you've just been burnt since then. And it wasn't invited to the wedding as well. So I don't know the complications or the intricacies of their relationship, but it's very clear that there is an agenda beyond what is going on, because it's is it only you? Even those that are commentating, the other ones that are doing commentary, they know when to stop. Piers almost seems very, very obsessed with Meghan and with the agenda to kind of get people to not like her as well, or as much as he doesn't like her. So a lot of people have kind of been at him, telling him you're a bully, I'm kind of two ways about it. Whilst I feel yes, please do call out people, hold them to account. Sometimes it makes them change. The reason why I'm kind of not part of the army that will mention him or tweet him, I don't know, I might change my mind later. He might do a madness and I might have to tweet him. The reason why I don't do that is because I know he's not going to change. Piers appears to be very stubborn, especially with this particular issue. When his colleague was telling him on set, he actually walked off. Same thing with when Dr. Shola was on his show. What am I saying, Shola? Dr. Shola. Dr. Shola, this England. Imagine you start mispronouncing your own name because of how people pronounce it. Dr. Shola was on his show and he tried to play this whole, you're shouting card. Meanwhile, she was making valid points. Yes, her voice was a bit raised, but I could tell that it was because of the frustration of having to talk to almost like a wall that isn't budging. But basically, it's been trending that he's a bully. A lot of people have been telling him off. But in contrast, there is a of Twitter that supports him as well. So it's no wonder that his tabloid and his commentary and his there's something that he does. He does an article. I can't remember what it's called right now. He calls it New new column. The column that he does, it's obviously supported by people that have similar views to him, which is why he continues to thrive. A lot of people have now reported him to Ofcom, and obviously because ITV continues to house him on Good Morning Britain. So there's just a lot to, I guess, unpack in terms of Piers. And will there be punishment for him? I don't know. His male and white privilege might speak for him, but we'll just have to see.
Now, just as you would have it, Piers Morgan actually left Good Morning Britain after a row about, some of the comments he made about Meghan Markle's health and mental health, and not believing, some of the things she said on the interview. And basically, he couldn't stand the heat, so he left the kitchen, which is quite ironic because, he didn't understand why the royals stepped away from their duties after, receiving heavy scrutiny from the British media. This tweet absolutely killed me. In an ode to Oprah's legendary line from the interview. Piers Morgan, were you silent or were you silenced? Because there is speculation that, he was let go of and they kind of told him walk away honorably before it gets out that we actually fired you. Which is quite interesting because, I feel like even that speaks to a level of, white male privilege that he has, in the sense of he was given a choice, whereas other people, in such a situation, said something really offensive, would have been fired on the spot.
In terms of world news, this one was a bit of an interesting one as well. This one is about a magazine in Nigeria. It's called Zikoko magazine, or Zikoko magazine, if you want to use the Niger accent to kind of call it well. So Zikoko magazine basically put out a video. They have this series on their platform called Nigerians Talk. And basically a lot of Nigerians on the show, they might ask them a question and they share their opinions, emphasis on their opinions. So recently they asked the question, who do you think is the most overrated fictional character? And apparently, I didn't actually see the video before it got deleted, but apparently somebody said Jesus. And there was a huge uproar. A lot of people saying, wow, Zikoko magazine, you should observe more better editorial judgments. How can you put this out? You have an agenda clearly against Christianity and you wouldn't try this with other faiths, etc., etc., etc. And I don't know, it was kind of like, I cannot judge because I didn't actually see the video. I didn't see how the person said it. I didn't see how they even edited it. But it's interesting because Zikoko magazine then went on to delete the video as well as put out an apology, admitting number one, offense. But then they also admitted that they dropped the ball in terms of something about they did something wrong, basically. And it's like, okay, I get that it was offensive, but the way people were coming like it was an agenda from them, that's where I was a bit like, because ultimately it was the view of the person. And these are like short videos that they usually put on their social media. It's not a Christian magazine for them to be thinking, how does this represent Christ? I understand that, okay, yes, it might be offensive to say that about a deity in someone's religion. And I'm a Christian, you guys know that, but I didn't see that. I didn't go on to then say it reflects Zikoko magazine. They put it out, but there's a varied amount of people in the world who are going to have varied opinions on different things, including religion. There's atheists in the world. Not everybody's going to be like you, Christian, or whatever else, So to blame the magazine was a bit, I get that they should have admitted offense. I don't know if they should have deleted it. You guys let me know what you think. Was this another case? Or is this a case of perhaps Christians been a bit too sensitive? Was offense warranted? Should they have deleted it? Should they have admitted faults? Or is it not necessarily their fault? Should they have exercised better editorial judgment as well? You guys let me know in the comment section down below. In terms of celebrity news, and this also kind of leads well into today's Chit Chat with Mo, the whole Harry and Meghan interview on Oprah. First of all, guys, before I go into it, have you seen it? Like, what did you think of it? Just let me know in the comment section before I carry on. But yeah, so this interview was basically a tell-all interview. Like, nothing was off limits in terms of the questions that Oprah was asking Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Oprah went in terms of the questions she was asking. Oprah is someone that, she emphasizes and overemphasizes her questions until she gets the answers that she wants. And then it's a thing of, if you yourself are saying you don't actually want to answer, then she will kind of back off. But if she wants to emphasize a point, she'll emphasize a point. I think this interview was very well done on Oprah's part. She asked all the right questions. The conversation flowed really nicely. I think you could tell as well that she made them feel confident and comfortable in the space where they were filming, which allowed them to kind of speak well. You could tell that Harry and Meghan, they've had a lot of media training. It's just an assumption, but the way they were answering their questions, it was very skilled, very intelligent answers, enough to tell us something without telling us everything, because you could tell that they were trying to be honest and open while still protecting the reputation of the family. A lot of people, Piers Morgan, would disagree. He believes it was a smear campaign and they literally tainted the image of the Queen. Whereas, if you were being unbiased, you could tell that they were really trying to protect the family, the image of the family. Of course, I'm sure the royal family wouldn't have wanted the interview to have happened at all, because even having one side that don't like them as much anymore, I think if you've watched The Crown, you know that that is something that they find quite detrimental to their image and to how people see them and how people respect them. I don't think for lots of people the respect for the family changes, because it's something that we get wrong. I think in life sometimes we feel like when someone's holding us to account, that means they hate us now and they don't respect us anymore. I mean, that is the case sometimes, and I'm pretty sure some people even before the interview, don't like the royal family. But I think it's more of, there's some atrocities that were mentioned there, such as, questioning the color, or what color Archie was going to be, whether some of the tweeting that Meghan experienced was as a result of, her mother being black. There was so much that was unpacked, and the reaction is literally like left and right wing. It's like no middle ground. If you're on Twitter, and you curate your timeline specifically, you might think everybody is having the same opinion as you. But I realized going outside of my Twitter bubble and actually looking through the timelines of like the ITVs, you realize there's a lot of people that are upset with Meghan and Harry for what they've done. So I guess my question to you guys is, was this interview insensitive given the timing? Should they have done it at all? Was it a smear campaign on the royal family or not? And that's all I really have for you guys in terms of what's trending. Do comment below on the trends that I've spoken about. And I'm going to go straight into Chit Chat with Mo, where I'm going to be discussing, as you can see from the title, that I really realized that, what Harry has done is a true representation of what sacrificial love looks like. So let's get straight into Chit Chat with Mo, where we have controversial debates, honest conversation, and so much more. Okay, guys, so let's get comfy. You guys know it's time for Chit Chat with Mo. This is a part of the show that I really, really enjoy because I get to analyze and talk a bit more and give more of my opinion. Okay, guys, those of you that have seen this whole interview with Harry and Meg, I'm just going to recap again. Of course, if you might have missed it in What's Trending, you may have skipped it. An interview recently aired on CBS between Harry, Meghan, and Oprah Winfrey, and they basically were discussing some of the things that they've experienced, being working royals. They were Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and they basically left their roles. Officially announced this March 2020. They announced their departure from, royal duties, and the Queen also confirmed this. And there's just been a huge hullabaloo since then. The British media has had a lot to say about what kind of caused that decision to happen, in terms of, is Harry being manipulated by his wife Meghan? There's just been so much, that the media has had to say about what kind of woman Meghan is after the decision was made. But even prior to that, it's interesting that the British media doesn't want to analyze what were the reasons why she decided to step away. What were the pressures that would cause a man, someone that, he was born in wealth, royalty. He's been a part of the British royal family, the monarchy, his whole life. And although he hasn't always been happy about certain things, he stayed. They didn't want to ask, they didn't want to analyze what was it, Kilo Day, what changed in terms of what could have caused a man to take his family, his wife and his child, away from where he's like known and loved all these years and move to a completely different land, so they can be safe. Surely we can see that there must have been an immediate and maybe long-term threat as well to their lives, to their safety, to their mental health. This is something that the British media still doesn't want to analyze or admit, even after the interview. It's very interesting that Meghan was never believed and probably still won't be believed by certain people. I am curious to see, did that interview actually change anything in terms of how people feel about her? Of course, people that liked her before probably still like her, and it's like they empathize and share in her pain. I don't know about the other side though. Like I said in What's Trending, I have noticed a stark contrast in one side of Twitter, Black Twitter, being very supportive of Meghan Markle, and some allies, I must say as well, some white allies, some non-Black people. Allyship basically means that, you know, you're for the people that might be being oppressed at a particular moment, even though you're not part of the group directly. So there is some allyship there, but I did have a look on like ITV's comment section, and people were really angry. They feel like this was a huge smear campaign against the Queen. They don't like them even more. Some people are saying don't come back, you know, that kind of thing. So I was like, wow, like this is the difference. The contrast is, yeah, it's actually really mind-blowing. Yeah, I kind of thought, okay, I don't think some of their minds are going to change. I think a lot of people, they carried their biased opinions about Meghan and Harry as a couple. They carried it into the interview, and so it didn't change even after the interview. I just want to read some of the stuff that was kind of unpacked. Okay, before the interview as well, it's important to say Prince Philip went into hospital. A lot of the press was hounding them not to release it because Prince Philip was ill, saying that your grandma's husband is ill right now. Is this a good time? There was also some things coming out about apparently Meghan was a bully towards staff members. Obviously, smear campaign again. Piers Morgan, as I said in What's Trending, carried on with his attacks. And there's just so many layers to what came out in the interview. I did put a whole like recap on the socials. Might do a blog post about it as well, but it's on our socials if you really want to see what was kind of said. But I just want to point out some stuff that they said. Racism was totally denied as the motivation for a lot of the media scrutiny that Meghan was receiving. So when I say media scrutiny, if this girl breathes wrong, it's going to make front page or it will be in the newspapers. How dare she? Who does she think she is? Arrant nonsense, etc., etc., etc. The one that I think is the most, it's probably the silliest one I've seen. A lot of them are silly, but the one about the avocado and also the baby bump. Somebody was saying something like she's obsessed with herself, or she thinks too highly of herself because she was creating her baby bump. Just anything that she does not even does wrong. Everything that she does, smear campaign. The craziest one, I think the wildest one was probably the media spinning an incident that happened between Kate and Meg to make Meg seem like the villain. Kate made Meg cry leading up to the wedding, and the tabloids were basically saying Meghan made Kate cry. And Meghan was saying she wasn't upset that Kate made her cry. Obviously, it was upsetting, but she bought her flowers, they hugged, kissed, made up kind of thing. What she was perhaps saddened about was the fact that Kate never cleared her name in terms of actually this happened the other way around. She more cared about her image and didn't mind Meghan's being smeared by something that happened where she made her cry, which was quite interesting. Like I said, racism has been denied as the motivating factor for why Meghan gets treated differently. Like I said in What's Trending, she has a black mother. So because of that pigment that she's got in her skin, she disclosed that there was some conversation with Harry and another member of the royal family. You know, there were concerns about Archie's skin tone. You're telling me that it's not racism as to why you're treating the mother differently, but you're concerned about how dark her son is going to be. There was also some other revelations. The interview started with Meghan, and then Harry joined. Harry came and revealed that his dad at some point stopped taking his calls and said that Harry shouldn't have taken things into his hands and he should now be communicating with him in writing. And it was through writing that Harry unfortunately had to communicate to his own father that he was stepping down as a working royal. Had security cut off. Just so many things kind of happened to them as a family. I guess what you can call homeless for a period of time as well. And Tyler Perry had to house them in Canada before they moved on to LA. And this was all happening whilst Meghan was pregnant. And trigger warning, I'm going to talk about suicide. She did say that she was feeling suicidal whilst carrying Archie. Yeah, they've been through a lot as a family. And Harry was basically saying, this has our move. It's not that Meghan manipulated me. I saw what the British media was doing to my family. I saw the toll it was having on her. He also said that he would come back home, she would be breastfeeding his child, their child, Archie, and she'd be crying, There was so much that was going on. They also asked for help for Meghan in terms of mental health help, and she was declined. So Harry was seeing all of this happening, and his biggest fear was that history was about to repeat itself. Our good sis Diana, who, if you've grown up African, may not be all moms, but I know a lot of African moms love Diana, and that's because they were basically living at our age now. They were basically living what we're living in relation to Meghan, but in relation to Diana. So they were seeing all of the scrutiny that Diana was kind of receiving in the media and what was happening behind the scenes in the family. They saw the interview, that exclusive interview, that very sad interview where you could just see the fear and sadness in Diana's eyes. They saw that. And it's like, that's what Harry was saying in terms of, Harry said to Oprah that he was fearful that history was about to repeat itself in terms of the emotional side, the bullying that his mother had to face by the family as well as by the media. He could see that same bullying and pressure Meghan was beginning to face, that because of the color of her skin, because of her heritage, and he just didn't want the tragic end that happened to his mother to happen to his wife and child. So Harry called it basically as Meghan described in the interview, because Oprah kind of asked towards the end, Harry, do you feel like Meghan saved you? And he said yes. He was saying for a long time he's felt trapped as a royal, having to play by the rule book. We've always known that Harry's always been like the wild royal. There's been pictures of him partying, and I think there was one where he was naked and it made the papers, the stuff. Like, he's not, it wasn't the golden child. It was kind of like the one that the people loved because he was so relatable. So he said that he admitted he's felt trapped in that world, even though he's been smiling in the papers and stuff. And he feels sad and even sorry for his brother and dad that are still in the system. So he feels like Meghan saved him. And he also highlights that those were some of the things that were triggering him carrying his family away. But actually, Meghan says, I think, that's lovely, but I think you saved us. You saved our family, because he could have bird boxed it. He could have pretended not to see what was happening. And just carried on enjoying the life he's always known and loved. But he said, you know what? No, this is my family now. And I have to choose them. He decided to choose them over what he's known and loved. And I remember just like watching the interview, like, wow, this is what sacrificial love looks like. I know that in the faith, Christian faith, especially, I'm a Christian, I can't speak on other faiths. And there's a part of the Bible that says, wives submit. And this is one that is often overstated and overemphasized, that they've drilled it in us since we were very young, that you need to submit to your husband. But where a lot of churches have kind of gotten it wrong is that they haven't, number one, highlighted that it's mutual submission, and the fact that the man is literally called to lay down his life for his wife. Marriage is meant to mirror, biblically anyway, by the Bible standards, it's meant to mirror the relationship that Christ has with his church, in a sense of that his son sacrificed his life on the cross for us so that we might see salvation and gain access to the Father. That kind of love, not licking ice cream love, not let's have some babies kind of love. This is, as a husband, I'm willing to lay my life for you. I'm going to sacrifice for you. Like, if there's dirt on the floor and you need to walk across, I'm going to lay down and you're going to walk on my back, and I will be filled with all of the dirt. I'm going to make that sacrifice for you. Very, very hard decision, I'm sure, that Harry had to make, but his family was more important over the money, fame, status, and whatever it might have lost. And even his family, even down to the family. There are some people that, some men are mama's boys. Some men don't want to leave their family alone. You've heard of so many different situations where the man might choose his family over his wife. And it's like, bro, you've got your priorities all the wrong way round. You have people that'll be arguing about that whole who sits in the front seat, your wife or your mom. Once you're married, your wife comes first. And I think vice versa as well. I think for the woman, once she's married as well, her husband should come first. Because there's that opposite scenario of when, if your husband says sit down and your dad says stand up, who do you answer? I'm answering my husband. Do you know what I mean? Because once you're each other's to kind of support and help throughout life's like difficult moments, and that's what partnership is. There's another scripture that says, two are better than one. They're there to comfort each other through painful moments, through good times and bad times. I think Harry is definitely one that is, like I said, a model of what sacrificial love looks like. And he's definitely one, I think, for a lot of men to look up to and to kind of gain a good lesson. Sometimes we talk about relationships and sometimes negativity trends more than positivity. But I hope this can trend in a sense of, I hope men can be inspired to be better as a result of seeing what Harry has done. There were some tweets where somebody said, "Oh, Nigerian men should learn from Harry," and it's not good to generalize because there are some Nigerian men that really do a lot for the women in their lives. Let's not, because of the bad eggs, kind of say that the good ones don't exist. But I do think there are some lessons to be learned. There are really great men like Harry in this world, and I guess this is now maybe to those that are looking for partners. Don't settle for a man that won't lay down his life sacrificially for you, or does not understand the need to love you sacrificially beyond his wants and his needs. There was a question towards the end where, Oprah said, "Would you have left the royal family had it not been for Meg?" And he said no. Even though he realizes that she saved him and that he did this to protect his family, he also recognizes that had there not been like a bullying or media scrutiny or pressure from either end towards Meghan, he would have probably stayed there. So he's really given up something that he loves. He said that he will continue to mend his relationship with his father. However, the relationship between him and his brother is space, which has led a lot of people to wonder, was it William that kind of made the comments about the potential colour of Archie's skin? Again, it's hard to decipher that because Meghan and Harry both said they wouldn't say. Like I said in the interview, they were trying to be gracious. They didn't want to say it all. But yeah, like I'm proud of Harry, and I'm glad that after this decision, they've been thriving. Like, they're okay. There were rocky moments, like I said, where Tyler Perry had to house them, no security. In fact, it was Daily Mail that kind of exposed where they were living in Canada. Yeah, there were some patchy moments, but now they have Archwell, which is like their media house, their production company that they're doing together. They've got a lot of like brand deals and stuff, so they're doing good. It might not be working royals money. Actually, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the money is like on either side, but they seem to be doing well. And the most important thing, I think, is they have each other. And it's like, I think a lot of us might have those moments in life where we have to question, like, is it integrity over money, fame, affluence? Such is the dilemma that I believe that Harry was kind of faced with, and he chose integrity, protecting his family, sacrificial love. There was something else that I was going to say that I've kind of forgotten. Oh yeah, there was, just kind of off topic a little bit. A lot of people were kind of like, they're finding it hard to feel sorry for Meghan marrying into a family like the royal family that is basically rooted in like colonization and institutional racism to other like African nations. They did colonize a lot of African nations, gave some countries their independence, set up the Commonwealth, but there is still an element of control. So there's that questioning about, okay, she's a mixed race woman, has some black in her, and then marries into a family where they basically expressed racism and colonization over the years, justified it, but basically done a lot in terms of colonizing other nations. I'm like, was she not kind of thinking when she joined that family is kind of the scrutiny that she's kind of receiving? But I'm like, I don't know about that one, because I feel like she just fell in love with Harry, not necessarily Harry the Prince. Even she said that she was very naive about what the royal family entails in terms of how she's going to serve, etc., etc., etc. There was the question that had the British press treated her better, would she have stayed? or would she be actively trying to dismantle some of the institutional racism as perpetuated by the royal family? That's definitely a question for another day, perhaps. Or maybe if you guys have the answer, you can comment down below. So I guess my question to you guys is, if you were Harry, what would you have done? Do you feel like Harry made the right or wrong decision in terms of leaving his royal duties along with his wife and taking them far, far away from all the pressures that they were facing? Do you feel like he's been manipulated by his wife and actually none of this is his decision? Do you feel like he shouldn't have left the affluence that he's so used to? If you were Harry, if you were Meghan, what would you have done? And is Harry the kind of man that you want to be with if you're a lady? And if you're a man, is Harry the kind of man that you are? Let me know in the comment section down below. And that's all I really have for you guys in terms of Chit Chat with Mo and also today's show. Do make sure you like this if you liked it and share it with your friends. Comment down below on things I spoke about and subscribe to the channel for more. Until next time, guys, peace and love. Peace and chunks.